Hey guys, this is Sundown Rider here, and this is going to be my chapter review to Fairy Tale 504 Rift. Now we start off with Natsu and Gray in the middle of their battlefield, and it says beneath the flag they both share Natsu's destiny, Gray's hatred, and all that. So basically, they're about to throw down. Now, last chapter, everyone thought that Gray and Natsu wouldn't fight; they wouldn't go through with it because it would be a stupid move for them to go through with it because they don't really. I mean, Natsu's kind of in this demonic rage type thing, but he's not lost himself completely. And Gray doesn't. He's not an illogical character. He wouldn't go out of his way to attack Natsu, even though it's not Natsu's fault. He's currently in this mode, and he has no reason to actually attack Natsu, seeing as Zeref seems to be the guy that's caused all these problems. So, contrary to all this, we move on, and you have Natsu saying to Gray to move out of his way, and Gray's all like, "Oh, so you were END all this time?" And Natsu's just like, "Get the hell out of my way!" And so Gray's like, "Oh, answer me," and all this. So Gray's kind of being a little bit of an ass, and we know that Natsu. We go to the next page, and Natsu's kind of obsessive. He's almost constantly repeating to himself that he's gonna defeat Zeref, and Gray's is kind of looking at him like, "Bruh, you're not even listening to what I'm saying anymore. I gotta put you down." So what's his name? Natsu's flames take on this blackish look, and they look beast. He looks like he's gonna kill someone. Like he's honestly lost his mind. So I thought last chapter I was saying that Gray was gonna stop Natsu simply. Well, he was gonna attempt to stop Natsu. I don't think Gray should be anywhere near as powerful as he was made to be in this chapter, but I don't think Gray was going to stop Natsu. I didn't think Gray was going to stop Natsu due to his hatred. I thought he was going to stop Natsu as his friend to stop him because Natsu was not going down a road where he would be able to easily retrace his steps and start again. So we then get to a part where Invel's talking about the demons of the Book of Zeref and how they're created personally by Zeref to kill himself, to end his immortality. And the most powerful of these demons was END, Aetherius Natsu Dragneel, who also happened to be his younger brother. So we then go on to the next page where Invel's his face is all messed up and everything. But he says that instilled in the demons of Zeref's books is the desire to kill their masters, is the desire to kill Zeref. And then we get Natsu saying he wants to kill Zeref, and he looks menacing as all hell. Though it would have been better if his appearance had changed a little bit. I mean, all that's really happened is his eyes have become shadowed. Only one of them seems to actually be open at any one time, and his flames have taken on a blackish appeal, and the black flames look pretty awesome. It almost looks like when Naruto first went Four Tails and his blood mixed in with his chakra. It looks a lot like that. So Gray's then contemplating, and he's saying out loud, "Who would have thought that my greatest rival would also be my would be masquerading as my greatest foe?" So instantly he has END plugged in as his greatest foe because his dad said whatever he did. But Gray has really no groundwork, no foundation for hating END. He has all the groundwork to hate Zeref because Zeref's demons killed Ur. Zeref's demons were the reason why his father eventually died. Zeref's demons were the problem for, was it Altair as well? Zeref's problems have always been Gray's problems. Zeref's issues regarding demons have always come back to haunt Gray instead. But somehow his hatred has moved on to Natsu. So and he calls Natsu his greatest rival, but leaves out the fact that he's actually his greatest friend as well. It's his best friend. So Natsu continues to say move, and then Gray then actually says what I just said. So he says, "My parents, all because of Zeref's demons. They, and now Juvia, you're part of that group," saying that you're part of the demons who killed basically my family and now Juvia. Even though does he know actually? Does he know that Juvia is? Yeah, actually, didn't he find out that Juvia was alive? I don't know. I can't remember. But we know Juvia is alive, and no one dies in Fairy Tale, so Gray should know this. But from his perspective, so he thinks that Juvia is still dead. Gray, Natsu's saying, "I'm not gonna ask again. You best get out of my way." And Gray puts on his Demon Slayer mode, and it looks pretty. He looks awesome as always. And he says, basically, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna fight you, and I'm gonna kill you." So then they get into a huge scuffle. It's a pretty decent fight. But Gray initially blocks Natsu's attack and actually manages to land a hit. And I don't like this at all. Gray's power up, well, Gray's ability to even touch Natsu in his current condition is beyond anything he should be capable of. Natsu is currently in like god slaying categories. Like he's in full demon mode. Well, almost in full demon mode. I don't assume he's in full demon mode yet, but he's currently in. He shouldn't be able to be touched by the likes of Gray. So we carry on, and they're fighting. Their fists are colliding. They're kind of equal in terms of power. Natsu's both his eyes are actually open in this part, and there's like a huge shockwave going off. And a lot of people were speculating that. Well, actually, a couple of people were speculating that the reason why they fought wasn't so much because of Gray's hatred towards END and Natsu's lack of control, but it was more so that because of Natsu's lack of control and Gray's lack of control, because of his overuse of his demon slaying abilities, demon slaying magic, that he's lost himself, as Invil said he would. He's lost himself in his own darkness. This is Gray I'm talking about, and Natsu's already lost himself. So that's why they're fighting, and not because Gray hates Natsu because of his END side. But there's a caveat to this, which is Gray hasn't even used his demon slaying form that much. If he had been using that much, he would have gone crazy during that 2-year time skip we had. He would have gone wacko during that time. So it's not because of his overuse of his demon slaying magic, because he's hardly used it. He's not been slaying any demons recently, so it's not because of that, and that's a poor argument for his hatred towards Natsu. His hatred towards Natsu has just been stirred by Invel, and Gray, just the logical, smart character we've come to know, has just been really torn apart and presented as an idiot who's following the words of someone he shouldn't even really be trusting. He shouldn't trust anything Invel says, and yet again, here we go. So then we get Brandish stripping down, and Polyuska saying, "You had such grievous injuries, and they've gone." And she's like, "Yeah, I can shrink my wounds." And then we have Evergreen and Dimaria talking, nothing really important. I think Brandish then says something about her doubts, and Lucy's all like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Doubting and all that crap is part of being a human." And then she makes her, the typical fairy tale speech, like, "Oh, carry on wavering, carry on doubting, questioning. That's all part of being human." Yeah, she can shut up. I don't really care. I don't like these parts of fairy tale. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes they have their place, but when it comes as hard and heavy and so cheesy as fairy tale, then it just annoys me more than anything. So we come away from Lucy's side of things, and we have Juvia there currently recovering, and she's saying, "I must search for Gray because he's gonna break completely." So we assume here that she knows that there must be some sort of time limit to him using the demon slaying magic, because she assumes he's gonna break completely, otherwise, or she can feel it because they're strong bonds or something. I got no idea, but yeah. So I think Gray lands a punch on Natsu. He takes it, and then he swipes across Gray's body, but he doesn't really do any damage, and Gray kind of just blocks it. And Natsu then says, "You can't stop me anymore. No one can stop me." And then it kind of flashes back to Lucy when she was on the floor with blood over her eyes, but it was Dimaria's blood. And Natsu, this is the explanation for why Natsu went END mode. The explanation is Natsu thought that he either thought he killed Lucy, or he was unable to save Lucy from Dimaria, and that caused him to break. So what must have happened was Dimaria almost killed Lucy, well, almost gouged out one of her eyes. What's his name, Luffy? Natsu went apeshit, and then he destroyed Dimaria, and then he kind of regained consciousness. He regained himself, and then he sees Lucy on the floor knocked out with Dimaria's blood on her, and he loses himself. Now this instantly is an idiotic way for Natsu once again to lose himself in his anger, because we all know that Lucy, if anything, was completely fine. She wasn't even cut or anything. She was completely fine. So Natsu, being a dragon slayer, a natural, type 1, generation 1 type dragon slayer, his senses have all been heightened. His touch, smell, taste, everything, sight, hearing. If anything, he should be able to feel. He might even be able to hear, because there was a panel many chapters ago where we get Natsu hearing something like what that red hair, what's her name, Flare Corona's, was it Flare Corona? Her hair moving and trying to take one of Fairy Tail's members. But his hearing, he should be able to hear Lucy's heart beating. He should be able to feel Lucy's heart beating. He should be able to feel the warmth still in her body, even though if she died just recently, she would still be warm. But he should be able to sense a lot of these signs of life. So that's his excuse for going END, and it's a poor excuse. So that's... I just don't like this at all. So he goes on to attack Gray, and he's saying that I can't be stopped. And Gray's like, yeah, I got something to say about that. I can stop you. So then we go to the battlefield where, what's his name? The fairy tale master, was his Ivankov? I forgot what his name is actually. But he's fighting, and he's holding his chest almost like he's got his heart problems again. And he's just telling his youngins to carry on and to carry on fighting. Don't mind about him. So the Alvarez army, they keep coming. There's no decrease in their number. Urza comes. She carves a path through them. Typical Urza. She doesn't feel any fatigue. She doesn't feel any pain. So she carries on doing what she's doing. And then she's like, oh yeah, let us all return to the guild together without fail. This has been reiterated so many times. There's only so many times you need to reiterate something for it to have sold the message. You don't need to say a million times the chapter. So yeah, the fairy tale master's all like, yeah, that's chilling. And then a huge eye pops out in the sky. It's Eileen again, and she's looking for Mavis, saying you can run, you can hide, but there's no way you can escape from my gaze. So she should be able to see Urza if anything, but that's apparently not who she's looking for. And they can hear Eileen's voice, which is something to pick up on. So they're looking for Mavis, and they realize who that voice belongs to, at least. What's her name? The demon lady, Mira Jane. She picks up on it. Angel and Yukino, she picks up on it, and so does Brandish, and she's shaking because she knows Eileen's power. So, and then we see someone responding. We assume it's the first, by saying, "I've no intention of running or hiding." And Eileen's all surprised, and the first is like, "Yeah, we'll take back our guild from you." And she summons this giant illusory form of herself, saying, "My comrades, go basically fight for me. Go fight together." And as the fairy tactician, I shall guide you to victory. So first and foremost, another thing I hate about this chapter: an illusory giant will do nothing for your army's attack forces. It's an illusory giant, and the fact that it's dissipating in front of the other army suggests that it's not got any mass to it. It won't provide them any help in the oncoming fights. So how the hell did this raise the morale of any of Fairy Tail's members? Yeah, their leader was shown to be okay and alive. She's shown to be free. But the fact that she hasn't done jack shit to this point anyway, and that her fairy tactician title hasn't really come into use. She hasn't made any awesome tactics. She's done jack and shit, like I've said. It serves no purpose. This shouldn't have raised any of their morale. If anything, they should be like, who the hell is that? She hasn't done anything for us so far. Guild Arts is all like that. Now that's something you don't see every day. You don't see a fake giant every day, because it's... And Eileen's all triggered because the first is treading all over her plans, is treading all over her like tactics of scaring Fairy Tail. So it was a really weird chapter. Next chapter, 505, will be called Trump Card. And yeah, overall I think this was like a 2.5 out of 5. I just didn't really like this chapter at all. Gray's reasoning for fighting Natsu, as I said, it can't be because of his overuse of his demon slaying magic, because he hasn't been using his demon slaying magic. Natsu, he has an excuse. He's going full demon mode, but he still recognizes Gray, and he's not going to fight him because he knows it's his friend. It's Gray's fault. Gray's blaming everything on Natsu because Natsu happens to be a demon, though Natsu only discovered he's a demon now, and he probably still doesn't even know he's a demon, and Gray's blaming him for the work of demons. That's like blaming everything on Muslims or on the Germans still to this day for what they did to the Jews, or for what Muslims have been said to have done to like Americans or whatever. That's like blanketing all demons as being evil. And especially when it comes to Natsu, he shouldn't be blanketing him with that perception, because Natsu's been his best friend for years, and they've known each other for years. So if anything, Gray's reasoning for fighting Natsu is absolutely horrendous. It's it's Naruto versus Sasuke all over again, except Sasuke was actually maybe half evil. Gray isn't even evil. Natsu just wants to go kill friggin' Zeref. Let him go kill Zeref. It's in your best interest. So that was horrible. I didn't like the fact that Mavis has been shown to raise the morale of her army, even though basically she did jack and shit. She basically just megaphoned over the army saying, yeah, go fight, as if they weren't going to do that anyway. But yeah, big rant. I didn't like this chapter at all. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, even lower than I did beforehand. It was just a really bad chapter overall. I didn't like it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I was being too harsh with this chapter. I just didn't like it, man. So let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know your theories in the comments below, actually. And yeah, I'll just see you guys later. Man, that was